back again with some more Docker commands. The next thing that we want to look at is Docker networking. How do containers network and connect to the internet? Let's take a look at it. So the first thing I want to review is this Docker file. So the Docker file exposes a port, in this case 8888. Let's take a look at running this. So if I do a Docker run, let's review this command. Let's do it without this for just a second. So in my last video, I created this application, I tagged it, I pushed it to Docker Hub. So this just spins up a simple Python application, sits and listens on port 8888. From a different tab on the same machine, let's do curl localhost 8888. Nothing. Okay, let's kill this. And now let's run it again with the -p flag, p8888, 8888. And what this says is when there's a connection to my local machine on port 8888, we want to forward it into my container port 8888. Okay, so now my application is returning. Well, let's go analyze this in a little bit more detail. So let's do it from over here. So let's do a Docker PS. We can see that that's my container that's running. Let's do a Docker network inspect on this suspicious bell. Or actually it's no Docker inspect on suspicious bell. So we can see that this Docker inspect gives us a lot of information about our container, lots of different pieces of information. You can scroll through that, but it does give us some network settings. It tells us what network we're connected to. It tells us some information about these ports that are going on. It gives us the IP address of the container and, you know, the gateway we're connected to, the network we're connected to. Okay, so let's take a look at Docker network ls. Here's my different default networks that I can connect to. My host network, a null network, and a bridge network. By default, all of our containers that we create are going to be placed in this bridge network as evidenced right here. Well, a bridge network, again, you're going to have containers that separate containers that might need to talk to one another. How do they do that? How do we make sure that they can connect smoothly and talk to one another as needed? So let's take a look. Let's say that I have let's do I'm going to create a new container. Again, that's going to download an Alpine image. It's going to run a detached interactive terminal. Let's just see Docker PS. That's running. Let's run a second one called Alpine 2. Docker PS. They should both be on the bridge network. Let's take a look at Docker inspect. Alpine 1. There's his address. There's his gateway. 0.1. His address is 0.3. Let's look at Alpine 2. His address is 0.4. Let's connect to one of them. Docker attach Alpine 1. So ping 172.17.0.3. That's itself, and then it can also connect to 0.4. The only reason it can do that because they're on the same bridge network. Okay, awesome. So connectivity is working. A lot of times, though, we want to be able to do some minimal DNS resolution. I want to be able to ping by name. Ping Alpine 1 does not work. Alpine 2 does not work. Okay. The default bridge network does not allow us to do that, so we need to create our own user-defined bridge network. So it's Docker network create my bridge, and that my bridge is just the name of the network I want to create. You can call it whatever you want. Docker network ls. You can see that I've created a new bridge network. Docker, I think it's Docker network inspect my bridge. So now that's what my bridge network created. It looks like gateway 172.18.0.1. So I've created the network. Now I need to connect those containers to my network. So I'm going to do Docker, and this could also be done at runtime. I'm going to do Docker connect or attach to my bridge. Oh, that's not right. Docker something. Docker. There we are. Forgot my command. Network connect to my bridge Alpine 1, and then we'll connect 2 to it, and then we will attach what? Fine. Docker PS. I still. Oh, I don't know what happened to Alpine 1. Let's go back to Alpine 1. I must have. Oh, I know what I did. So I exited it incorrectly. So if I go back to my run command, okay. Oh yeah. Docker rm Alpine 1. I need to put it back in the network. So again, I'm going to connect Alpine 1 to the network, and now I'm going to Docker attach Alpine 1, ping Alpine 1. Now you can see the DNS is working. So the advantage of a user-defined network, Docker network ls, oops, I can't type, is that it will do some DNS resolution. So understanding networking, be able to know where to go to look at the IP address of our containers to diagnose and troubleshoot networking issues is critical. So be comfortable with that. Now we're just looking at low-level commands. Certainly in subsequent videos we can look at how other higher-level commands such as Docker Compose will minimize our need to worry about this so much.